Now, I apologize for this video in advance because it's not going to be very linear. It's going to be extremely stream of consciousness. I will say things as and when I remember them, so please bear with me. I'm just going to show you some of the magazines I've bought. I haven't gone mad with the tribute magazines and things. I've only bought one or two, and I'll show you one of my favorites. This is Michael, I believe, after his first nose job, after he broke his nose, and I just love this picture because he's just so handsome in it. I mean, if he'd just stopped after that surgery, he would have been perfect. I mean, to be honest, he was perfect before, but you know, if he didn't have people around to tell him how beautiful he was, and also any other neuroses he was suffering at the hands of his family, etc., and also compounded with the fact that, you know, Eurocentric notions of beauty are constantly thrusted down our throat 24/7, it's no wonder he was a bit mashed up in regard to his looks. I shall show you something else. This was in the Guardian supplement. I love this picture, and his afro is awesome, out of control awesome. It's a very nice picture. And lastly, this was the obit in the Telegraph, one of our broadsheets in the United Kingdom. It's a pretty balanced piece for the Telegraph. So those are just a few bits of my memorabilia. Now what I want to share with you are some of my personal Michael Jackson memories, of which there are 100. But I'm just going to share two of them for the sake of brevity. Oh God, how could I forget this? No MJ outfit would be complete without these. Michael loved to rock aviators. Now he had many different kinds, but he was mostly rocking Ray-Ban aviators, and he was rocking a really nice black pair at his last press conference. And I've always loved Ray-Bans, and I've been wearing them for as long as I could afford to purchase them. So, instant MJ, check it out. Yeah, so, okay. So here's one of my MJ memories. Hi Tisha, because this includes you. This was the American Music Awards, and Michael had just performed Man in the Mirror for the first time. And it was a brilliant performance, astonishing, all of that stuff. And then, oh, I should also add that at this time I had just recently purchased my first VCR as a teenager. And so I had taped it, and my friend Tisha also had taped it. So at the end of Man in the Mirror, he does this thing, and he goes, "Make that change." And then he does this. Well, it was the most incongruous, nonsensical thing I'd ever seen. And I laughed so hard, I almost burst a blood vessel. And then after the award show was over, my friend Tisha and I, we'd both taped it. We must have rewound it about 25 different times just to that spot. And we were laughing so hard, I mean, to the point of nausea. Unbelievable. And to this day, 20 years later, however long it is, whenever we say, "Make that change," that's all we have to say, and we're completely ruined. Another fond memory I have is at work one time, about 10 years ago, this guy named Andy, he reenacted all of Thriller at work, and I was his Ola Ray to his MJ. My Ola Ray basically consisted of me sitting in a chair pretending to look scared, but it was a small office, so we really couldn't cut loose in there, but it was really funny. So those are two of my MJ memories. Things about Michael maybe that some people don't know or maybe should be more aware of is that he was the biggest philanthropist in terms of celebrity on earth. He gave more money to charities than any other entertainer. Another thing is that I respect him for, and I always made a mental note of this, is that when James Brown died, I think Michael was in Asia or Bahrain or something like that, he flew back to pay his respects to James Brown because he loved that man. And there were a lot of people that should have been at James Brown's funeral that weren't there. They wouldn't even have careers were it not for James Brown, and they weren't there. But Michael was, you know, because he knew. Also, yes, what's the other thing? Oh, Michael apparently bought Sly Stone's publishing, because Sly Stone didn't own his own publishing, and he bought it and gave it back to Sly Stone, which, you know, I think is an awesome thing. And also you'll hear, I think, quite a few samples of Sly Stone stuff on Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation. Speaking of JJ, Janet Jackson, I'm not missing an earring, by the way. This is a nod to Janet Jackson, the early years. Or should I say the middle years, because her early years are like Good Times and Fame and stuff like that, aren't they? Okay. The ceremony is about to kick off in about 20 minutes. I'm going to have to kind of wrap this up as best I can. Yeah, the way that he went. I mean, I remember tripping about 3 years ago when I was reading a newspaper article and I saw that Madonna and Michael Jackson were going to be 50, and I just couldn't wrap my head around that. 50, and especially Michael, because, like, there's no way that I could even associate that number with Michael Jackson. And I wondered to myself at that time, would he even make 50? And as you know, he just about did. He was born 2 weeks before Madonna, I believe. They're both born in August. And I think if you'd asked any black person if they could envisage a 75-year-old Michael Jackson, they would have shattered your eardrums with laughter. I mean, I think we probably were making funeral arrangements for him somewhere in our mind since about 1992. You know, for me, the better narrative, the better story, if he had to go, would be for him to have completed his 50 dates to astonishing, triumphant review. Do you see what I did there? And then the last gig, the last night of his gig, for him to just die of exhaustion in his sleep. That would have been the better story. But, you know, it didn't turn out that way. And when I look at the footage of his